The Arctic, a formidable place where giant beasts of water and ice live alongside the remarkably intrepid Inuit people. This is the home of the walrus, a creature we know surprisingly little about. For while it can appear slow and clumsy above the ice, underwater it can be all too swift and deadly. Filmmaker Adam Ravitch and his wife, producer Sarah Robertson, team up with the Inuit on a daring journey of discovery to learn the secrets of this mysterious giant.
The Inuit were the ones that warned me about the walrus, that if I was in the water and one were to pop up, that I should get out as quickly as possible. In a bizarre way, that's what attracted me to the walrus. I wanted to meet the animal that was responsible for all this fear.
Major funding for nature is provided by Park Foundation, dedicated to education and quality television. Major corporate support is made possible by Canon, providing the power of imaging to express your visions at home and work. By Ford Motor Company, each year parts for our new vehicles are made from more than 50 million recycled soda bottles, enough to cover a 400-acre lake shore to shore. Ford, dedicated to protecting the environment. And by TIAA Craft, for 80 years the thoughtful choice in financial services for people in education and research. TIAA Craft, ensuring the future for those who shape it. Nature is also made possible by annual financial support from viewers like you.
In the extreme landscape of ice and cold lives a giant, formidable animal, the walrus. Probing their secret life underwater seemed an impossible challenge, until now. One adventurer and filmmaker set out to find the elusive walrus and came from California to the top of the world. His name, Adam Ravitch.
I've always been searching for new subject matter to film, and that's really what lured me to the north with my wife Sarah. What was shocking to find was an animal as big as the walrus that we really knew nothing about. So for the last 5 years, Sarah and I have been coming to the north to work with the Inuit people who really know this animal the best.
The Inuit are a remarkable people, able to survive in one of the harshest places on Earth. But in May, after months of darkness, life becomes easier. Igloolik is 155 miles north of the Arctic Circle. The site of the town was chosen because of its proximity to walrus. The Inuit here traditionally hunt the animal to survive. Canada's Fox Basin has a thriving population. For the next 3 months, they'll be reveling in sunshine 24 hours a day. Here, an Inuit hunter will harvest at least 7 walrus a year. The walrus will not only provide meat for his family, but also for the family dogs. The dogs and the walrus are a traditional part of Inuit life. Even the harness of the dog sled is made of walrus hide. Today, these dogs are ready for another journey. They're taking the filmmakers on a walrus hunt, except this time with a camera. The Arctic is a barren, treeless landscape. The ice cap is, in fact, a frozen ocean. For Adam and Sarah, this trip is a journey back in time to a world untouched by man. This vast frontier of ice and snow can never be tamed, and one false move could be the difference between life and death. The Inuit know this well. Never underestimate the Arctic. For 1,000 years, the Inuit have scratched out a living here. Hunting was dangerous, especially when their prey was one of the largest and most aggressive creatures of the ice, the walrus. The Inuit hunted with harpoons. It was not uncommon for a hunter to be entangled in the lines and killed. The walrus is extremely powerful. There are few things it fears. One is the polar bear. Long experience has taught the Inuit that the walrus is best approached on land. In the water, it was known to be a killer, to attack a hunter from below the ice and drag him under in a crushing embrace.
The Inuit were the ones that warned me about the walrus, that if I was in the water and one were to pop up, that I should get out as quickly as possible. And you can't really ignore the experience of the Inuit. In a bizarre way, that's what attracted me to the walrus. I wanted to meet the animal that was responsible for all this fear.
The sled dogs have completed the first leg of the journey. Now the real search begins. They have brought the filmmakers to the floe edge, where the wide shelf of ice meets the open ocean. The Inuit have traveled these waters for generations. In this featureless ocean, they know exactly where to find the walrus. The ice is a barrier protecting the animals. But now the ice has thawed, and Adam is excited as they get closer to their long-sought-after dream. A glimpse of walrus in the wild. Alerted to the approaching boat, juvenile males spy hop to get a better view. But an experienced Inuit knows this small group means there's another herd nearby. A trained eye spots the others, all 200 of them. The walrus is the first cousin of the sea lion and the seal. 23 million years ago, the first pinnipeds ventured into the sea for its bountiful food supply. But these aquatic mammals never broke their ties with the land. Walrus haul out in great numbers to bask in the sun, sometimes piling up, one on top of the other. Clustered together, they can detect predators more successfully. Plus, they have each other to keep warm on the frigid ice. This is a social animal, no matter how surly the company might get. Each herd has a hierarchy, and every animal knows its place within the fold. A mother gravitates to the outskirts. Here, should danger strike, she can escape with her calf. Walrus take to the ice to give birth as well as to rest. The birth rate of walrus is low. A female gives birth every 2 to 4 years, and much is invested in each young. Juveniles hover closer in, where there's room to practice their jousting. The price of losing can be painful, but for those that succeed, the reward is dominance. Big males monopolize the core, where it's warmest. The dominant ones advertise their rank by wielding their massive tusks. A single jab is all it takes. With tusks more than 3 feet long, a male can win a battle as soon as it's waged.
You can't deny the power of these animals, and it becomes really obvious that if you invade their space, you're going to get tusked. And it's one thing to be a walrus, but it's a whole nother thing to be a diver. They're going to do a lot of damage. It's not going to be easy, but I'm going to really have to figure out how to get close to these animals in the water.
Adam may get his chance sooner than he thinks, because the walrus frozen world is about to change. Already, the spring thaw is transforming the landscape. Adam is one of the intrepid few to experience the Arctic below the ice.
Ice diving is really my first love and is what has brought me back to the Arctic time and time again. Some people would think it's pretty crazy what I'm doing, but every time I drop beneath the ice, I'm constantly reminded why it's so worth it.
Swimming in waters just above freezing, Adam uncovers a magical world. These cold, clear waters are a wellspring of life. Extreme conditions demand extreme adaptations. Some creatures have even developed a chemical in their system similar to the antifreeze in a car. The huge 23-foot Greenland shark feeds on small bottom feeders, but also attacks seals. They're even quick enough to catch birds on the water's surface. In this challenging environment, every living creature in the ocean takes advantage of the bounty that comes with spring. The sudden stream of sunlight is the first link in an elaborate food chain. Ice algae blooms, transforming the ice canopy into a rich grazing field. Zooplankton eats the algae and swarms in vast undersea clouds, raining debris through the mid-layer. The generous table scraps of the surface make a welcome feast below. Carpeting the seafloor are the ultimate bottom feeders, clams. They power a massive processing system, filtering the entire water column. Small as they are, clams are the main diet of one of the Arctic's largest creatures. A walrus eats as many as 5,000 a day. The walrus is one of the few animals that feeds on clams. In this comfortable niche, walrus don't have to compete with others. The rest of the marine life in these waters all depend on a single vital species, the Arctic cod. For now, it's protected from predators by ice cover and has time to fatten up. But its frozen fortress is disappearing. The breakup has begun. Come June, as snow melts, the ice takes on a wrenching transformation. Spring throws this once static world into chaos. The crack of ice seems to be the signal for sea life to start moving. For the walrus, the broken ice gives them a path to the open seas. There, they'll have access to new, untapped clam beds where they can feast. Other creatures, too, are swept up in the action. Narwhal probe for cracks in the ice, eagerly heading for open waters. Social animals, they travel in close, tight groups. The narwhal are the unicorns of the seas. Their horns were highly prized by humans and were thought to have magical powers. The horn, which is usually found on males, is really a spiral tooth, 9 feet long. As they race through the water, their clicks of echolocation navigate the depths. To signal their immediate whereabouts to one another, the narwhal flash their underbellies like beacons. These agile whales charge their favorite food, cod. In this seasonal windfall, 23,000 tons of cod will be taken by whales, 24,000 by birds, 70,000 by ringed seals. Cod are the dynamo of the Arctic. Six miles outside Igloolik, the Inuits pitch their annual tent city, a hunting camp to bring them even closer to the game. Char is a seasonal delicacy, dried to savor later. July is prime hunting season. Everyone gets involved. The tent city is a training ground for young hunters-to-be. No one wants to be left out. Adam is getting ready as well. His quest is about to take a huge step.
I came up with the idea of building a cage to protect myself from the walrus underwater in the same way that you would protect yourself from a shark. The problem was I was a little off with my calculations. The Inuit were quick to point out that the spaces between the bars were a bit too big and that maybe a walrus could get its head in. Then I thought, oh great, what am I going to do now? At least the kids here didn't think it was such a bad idea.
The true test of Adam's cage is coming soon. The breakup has opened his way through the ice, taking him straight to the herds. Or so he had hoped. The thaw has yet to complete its course, and the search is reduced to a slog. The miles give way to frustration. The sea ice is extremely deceptive, a maze of treacherous obstacles. Even in the summer, the water's temperature can kill in just a few minutes. As the Inuit know, there are 1,000 perils in the Arctic. There will be no walrus sighting today. But just when the day seemed lost, the Arctic offered a generous glimpse of one of its hidden treasures. The Eastern Atlantic bowhead whale. In all, perhaps 600 remain. The ice that is barring the expedition is a haven for them. Here they can forage on plankton free from predators of the open seas. A massive creature 50 feet long, bowheads have a flair for breathing through the smallest of ice holes. Sighting even one of them is a stroke of luck. But the real prize of this day is a calf, perhaps one of 5 born each year. For Adam, the hard part will be getting close enough to his subject.
Tracking a 40-ton whale and its calf over miles of ice was much more difficult than I ever thought. I thought all I had to do was run over to the hole where the whale was, drop my camera in, and I'd have my shot. But it was really frustrating. Every time I'd approach, the animal would hear me come, take a breath, and dive. I had no idea where it was going to come up next till I heard its blow.
Exhaustive hunting by whalers has put bowheads on the endangered list, even after a century of protection. The glimpse of the year-old calf offers some hope for the future. Far out to sea, the broken ice has left the walrus scattered on isolated pans. Each is a herd in miniature, giant sentinels of the ice. These giants are called Toothwalkers because they use their tusks to hoist themselves up onto the ice. Even on the ice, they stay warm. Their immense blubber helps insulate heat. The young have little blubber, so they huddle for warmth. The approach of the boat gets an immediate response. The mother holds her calf securely, bringing him up for air, but he's skittish. Using her body as a shield, she ushers him to safety at the far side of the ice pan. As for the rest of the herd, once they're safely in the water, they can afford to be curious. Adam is about to witness their secret life underwater.
Well, here I'd been preparing for so long to get in the water with this animal, and now I was actually confronted with having to do it. It really didn't matter that I had this cage. I was unsure of how a walrus was going to react. It was terrifying to be in the cage with the walrus. I really felt alone and scared. These animals were huge. They were like the size of a small car, and it was all that I could do just to keep my camera straight. But eventually I was able to settle down, and what impressed me most was just how large their fins were, how broad they were, and that allowed them so much control. They were able to kind of hover and turn on a dime. It was obvious that they were in their element.
These are some of the first images ever captured of free-swimming walrus. For Adam, it's just the beginning.
It's so difficult to accomplish anything in the Arctic, and when you finally do, you realize that you've really just scratched the surface and that there's so much left to be done. The cage was like that, and it became very obvious that I had to push beyond its limits. That was going to be the only way I could follow the walrus into its world.
August. With summer, the last of the ice disappears, and with it, their vital resting places. All across the Arctic, walrus leave their dwindling ice pans to embark on their annual migration. Although they are marine mammals, walrus absolutely need a place to rest out of the water. When the ice disappears, they must find land to haul out. Blazing the way is a dominant male. The water and wind currents, the seafloor, and perhaps an internal compass may all help on their incredible voyage. They move upwards of 6 miles an hour, covering 150 by journey's end. When the calves get tired, they cling to their mothers' backs. They are long-distance migrators, traveling where the season sends them. They finally see their destination, Coates Island. The shore is crowded by earlier arrivals. 50,000 thick-billed murres gather on these cliffs to act with a single-minded purpose, to rear their chicks. It's not a venture for the weary. In the land of the midnight sun, survival is a 24-hour job. A pair of murres raise and shelter only one offspring at a time. The bluffs offer them protection from land predators. But here, they're exposed to a threat from above. Glaucous gulls stalk them relentlessly. There are few places to hide. One parent stands guard against predators from above, while the other goes hunting for food below. To feed their chicks, murres can dive to 300 feet and stay submerged up to 2 minutes at a stretch. Once again, it's cod they're after. The search may take them far out to sea, from the depths to the heights of the Arctic. A monumental effort, rewarded by the survival of their young. It took the walrus 4 days to reach Coates Island. Their migration is over. The herd's new land-based home is the haul-out, or ooglet. Knowledge of this traditional site has been passed on from mother to calf for generations. And yet, the herd hesitates. They're reluctant to leave the safety of the water. Dangers await them on land. The decision to make their move falls to a dominant male. The scars on his torso attest to a long history of leadership. Each is a mark of experience. Now 200 walrus rely on his initiative. Dragging a 15-foot body weighing 4,000 pounds out of the water is not easy. He lunges himself across the land. Their herding instinct is strong. Once one makes the move, they all do. For the next 6 weeks, stretches of shoreline scattered across the Arctic will harbor countless herds. The dominant male has guided his herd to safety and to a well-deserved rest. Summer becomes the Arctic, and the land flourishes with wildlife. For Adam and Sarah, there's never been a better time to get close to the herd. Summertime can see temperatures in the 50s. But even with the new warmth, the walrus instinct to huddle has not waned. As temperatures rise, so do tempers. But the warmth triggers another seasonal event, the annual molt. In patches, the walrus is purged of its fur, leaving its black hide in stark relief. Walrus foreflippers are remarkably dexterous, able to swivel around to scratch remote parts of the body. When it gets too warm, the sunbathers retreat to the water. To cool off, a walrus' eyes flush red as its blood flow is carried to the surface, even turning its skin pink. But spending too much time in the water turns the skin white as the blood retreats from the surface. The older the male animal, the thicker its hide. The eldest may be 40 years old, and for bulls, their worn-down tusks testify to bygone battles and fallen fortunes. At 3 months, the calf is getting its tusks. Over the next 2 years, nearly every basic skill of survival must be taught to him. How to dive and eat, socialize, even how to keep warm. As long as he's with his mother, he'll learn the tricks of survival. By watching polar bears, the Inuit learned many tricks of hunting. The polar bear's usual prey is the ringed seal, but in these waters, it has learned to adapt. Besides humans, walrus have only 2 predators, killer whales and polar bears. The last animal left on the rocks may well pay with its life. lucky to have just slipped by the polar bear. At sea, the walrus have a better chance to escape. As if to confuse the bear, the herd launches what looks like a strategy. The males split off, not to abandon the herd, but to draw attention away from the young. The females hide the calves between them. The bear doesn't know which way to turn. No stragglers remain on the beach. The hunt is over before it even began. The polar bear's most likely victim would have been a calf. A mother cannot afford to lose one. Years of life lessons are invested in him. This haul-out site is off limits to the herd now. It's time to move on to find another safe haven. Their search may take hours or days, guided by choice or by chance. Adam and Sarah are eager to follow, and today the filmmakers have a new strategy. A remote operating vehicle, a video camera, and a submersible housing. It will go where they cannot, into the midst of the herd. A foreign visitor is never a welcome one, but caution gives way to curiosity. On each approach, the animals lead with their whiskers. Each of those roughly 600 quill-like vibrissa is a minute probe. So refined is the touch that even in waters of near zero visibility, they can detect an object as small as a nickel. No one has ever witnessed walrus eating in the wild. It was once thought they used their tusks to dredge for clams, but in fact, their whiskers guide the search. Nose to the ground, their tusks squarely tucked away, they comb the seabed for clams and literally suck the meat out of the shell. Over time, the walrus mustache pad actually gets worn down. Walrus are the slowest of all pinnipeds. You don't have to be fast to catch clams. Each animal can dive as deep as 270 feet for up to 10 minutes at a stretch. They go on feeding binges as long as 24 hours straight.
Every time I think I'm getting a little closer to the walrus, it gives me a reminder. This animal is powerful.
It's September. In distant waters, ice is already gathering. To life, it's a magnet. At the Euglet, high seas forecast the change of seasons. Overnight, the herd has vanished. Straying behind are two diehards. Lone male walrus, in fact, are the ones some Inuit fear. These could be the infamous few who have somehow acquired a taste for animal flesh. Their hide is tinged with the oils of their prey, their tusks stained yellow from blubber, their mustache pads unworn by clam dredging. Inuit folklore says it's walrus that have lost their mothers that practice this unusual strategy, one they must learn from a veteran, to stalk seals or even humans. For the Inuit, this season has been good. It's graced them with a steady supply of caribou meat. Sarah and Adam have spent enough time here to be welcome. Getting food in the Arctic is always a challenge. In a land without vegetation, outsiders wondered how the Inuit could get a balanced diet without fruits and vegetables. The answer is in the fresh meat, which is chock full of vitamins. The Inuit rarely overcook their meat. To find food is always a cause for celebration. But to go through the winter, the Inuit need to stock up on more meat. It is time to hunt for walrus. The days ahead may be their last chance for months. Their tools are often those of their forefathers: a sealskin rope, a float bag made from the gutted skin of a ringed seal. Launched with each boat is a proud tradition. The hunt has begun. It takes courage and skill to hunt walrus, something the Inuits have mastered over the centuries. The hunt is over, but the work has just begun. These young boys hope one day to become hunters like their fathers. To carve a walrus takes an intimate knowledge of its anatomy. Preserved in a massive packet of hide, the meat is sewed securely with the animal's skin as thread. Little is wasted. Nearly every ounce of flesh and bone goes into the Inuit diet to their dogs or for use as materials. The fate of the people depends on the hunt. But humans are not alone on the top of the food chain. The bounty of this hunt goes to two predators. Inuit folklore says that after a hunt, if one treats an animal spirit with respect, that animal will be reborn. In that way, walrus would always return to claim their land.
I've been able to watch the walrus for some time now, and I've seen many different sides to this animal. And there are times when it is calm and when it's not aggressive, and that's when I'm going to risk getting in the water with it.
Like the Inuit, Adam Ravitch has developed a healthy respect for the walrus. In turn, he has given us a rare glimpse into the world of these extraordinary animals. Whether below or above the ice, the walrus prevail as giants of their realm. Always mysterious, always powerful.
To learn more about what you've seen on this nature program, visit PBS online at www.pbs.org. Major funding for nature is provided by Park Foundation, dedicated to education and quality television. Major corporate support is made possible by Canon, providing the power of imaging to express your visions at home and work. By Ford Motor Company. Each year, parts for our new vehicles are made from more than 50 million recycled soda bottles, enough to cover a 400-acre lake shore to shore. Ford, dedicated to protecting the environment. And by TIAA Craft. For 80 years, the thoughtful choice in financial services for people in education and research. TIAA Craft, ensuring the future for those who shape it. Nature is also made possible by annual financial support from viewers like you.
Toothwalkers, Giants of the Arctic Ice is available on home video cassette for $19.95 plus $4.95 shipping. To order, call 1-800-336-1917 or write to the address on your screen.
This is PBS.